Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a conversation with Floyd Marshall Jr. And I am joined by the incomparable Kanithea Powell of Qwest Films, QFNTV, and the amazing, multi-talented, multi-hyphenated Brandon Miree Movie Film Entertainment. And if you have not watched his docu-series, Black and Hollywood, you need to do that. And
All
today we're
right.
going to be talking about the state of Black cinema in 2022 and beyond. And we were just off camera having a conversation about the recent UCLA 2022 diversity report. So we are going to jump right in it. And then, because I don't want Brandon to lose his train of thought, and then we're going to do the introduction. So Brandon, please continue what we were talking about.
Well, it was in response to you having a conversation with someone who was presented with the evidence from the report from a respected institution that said they don't believe it because they've been in the industry for 15 years and that is not their personal experience. And so my response to that is a Toni Morrison quote in which she says, the primary function of racism is distraction, is to distract. There are people in this world who do not care about other people being treated better. So their primary function is to throw a landmine or a bomb and just go off to something else. They don't really care about the topic at hand. So distraction is a force that to keep us off this progress that we want to make in life in this industry. And so there are people who don't care about that. And so they say, well, what about this? Or what about that? It's that whataboutism used to distract us from the primary function of trying to achieve progress.
Beautiful. Kanithea, did you want to add to that? Because you always have something
Man,
so
it's
profound to
Tony.
say.
I love Tony. Like that baby speaks truth. And no truer words have ever been spoken. If we can take you and knock you off your purpose, knock you off your journey, knock you off your path, then you'll never be able to accomplish that thing that we're terrified that you're actually going to accomplish. You won't be able to arrive at the discovery that walking that path gives you. So of course we're going to try to knock you off your path. We don't want you to be successful. We need you to stay that low vibrating, that lowly thinking human being that you are so that we can continue to be in our place, to keep you underfoot. That's the challenge, isn't it? To be willing to cast that aside and keep walking your path. I mean, I love it. No, I mean, that was a great addition, Brandon. Yeah.
Thank you.
Beautiful, beautiful. So now we're going to get into the introductions. We are just doing this so out of kilter, but you know what? I could do what I want. It's my show.
Come on.
But
That
Kanithea,
part.
introduce yourself. Let everyone know who you are and what it is that you do.
Jesus. Well, I'm Kanithea Powell, as my friends like to say, the Kanithea Powell. That's I love it. I'm a creative. I am a free being, honey. Everything I do in my life is centered around freedom. I don't look to anybody to do anything for me. Open up the doors, James Brown said, I walk in there and get it myself. I'm a writer, director, producer. I'm also the owner of a streaming platform, QFNTV. That's in 170 countries right now. We're on Roku, Amazon, on your phone. Wherever you can find all the other big three, you can find us as well. So that's who I am. A free thinking creative, not bound by anything.
Wow. Mr. Mike.
My name is Brandon Miree. I'm originally from Cincinnati, Ohio, and I'm a creator. I'm a storyteller. I write, produce, and direct. And I plan to tell stories for the screen for the next 40 years. That's what I really desire to do. And so currently I have several projects in the festival circuit, one of which I'm finishing up on the actual season, called Black and Hollywood. One of the episodes has been in 2 festivals. and won 2 top awards, and now is heading to his 3rd festival in January that I'm pretty excited about. So I'm a storyteller and I'm a creator. I write, produce, and direct, and this is something that I love to do. I picked up and left to come out here in order to do so. So I look forward to doing it for a while now.
How long have you been out here, Brandon?
Man, 2015. Yeah.
You know, a little bit over a year and a half ago, I left my job and moved to LA too. So we all
Wow.
on the same path, boy, trying to get
Come
this
on.
dream, get after
Man,
this.
I tell you, it's out
So,
here, y'all. It's for us. I mean, when I say out here, I say in this world. It's
yeah.
out here for us. And, I think that I was a part of a festival on the executive committee last year called the Lamert Park Film Festival. A friend of mine started. You met him, Floyd, and his theme for last year was to take back the narrative, right?
Right.
The imagery and the images that you see, we want to be able to control that narrative. We want to be able to control those images. And how do you do so? And you do it from the inside out, not from the
Right.
outside in.
Right.
And so I'm so whenever I meet a fellow storyteller of African descent, like we're all in this thing together. That's the biggest thing that I share with other storytellers, is that we're in here plotting our own path, and we're trying to control and take back the narrative that has at times not been, a guiding star for us as a people or as a society. So yeah, it's such a pleasure meeting you out here, and I look forward to getting to see you in person and getting more about you. So appreciate you, Floyd, for having me on here too.
Well, I'm glad that both of you are here, and it's interesting. Before I ask my first question, I was struggling over the last 6 months. I'm not gonna lie, it was rough because I was really trying to figure out my role in this industry, and I was watching something one day, and the word facilitator came up. And I was like, I'm a facilitator. But then I looked the word facilitator up, and that did not fit. And then someone I was listening to on Clubhouse said, oh, that person is a connector. And I said, that's what I am. So I really love connecting people to people. And when because I met Brandon at the Michaud Film Festival, and actually I first met Kanithea the first time in person at the Michaud Film Festival. And one thing that I was doing, and I believe in spreading the love wherever I can get it. But here's the thing, and this is going to sound a little funny, but you got to be worthy of that, because if I'm your friend and I'm deciding to introduce you to someone else, it's like that in that movie, oh gosh, with Al Pacino and Johnny Depp, when Al Pacino said, I'm speaking for him. I can't remember the name of the movie, but Al Pacino said, Donnie Brasco.
Yeah,
and Al Pacino saying, I'm speaking for him. So when you introduce someone of the caliber of you guys to each other and to other people, the person that's doing the introduction is speaking.
Right.
So you need to be extremely careful of who you're connecting.
Very much so.
To whom. But my first question is this. Both of you own your own companies. Now, anyone can go first. Why did you guys feel the need to start them?
Go ahead, Brandon. Go ahead, Brandon. Oh, we both like, go ahead.
One of the biggest things for me is when I was at UCLA in 2016, taking for the entire year a television writing program. And from there, I have several writing friends. And one of them, your writing friends, you can send stuff out to them. You send a draft out, they'll give you feedback. And one of the drafts that I sent out, she wasn't from our culture. And she was like, oh, is this a typo? And at that moment, I realized I wrote Black.
Hmm.
I thought I was a little bit more Eurocentric. And I said, oh my gosh, I write Black. And the word was cosign. Somebody said something and the rest of the group co-signed what they said. And she didn't understand it. And so at that moment, I realized that the majority of gatekeepers won't understand our culture.
Come on.
They won't understand, our idiosyncrasies. And so if they're reading something that they don't understand, that would immediately take them out of that script.
Right.
And that's going to go in the rejection pile.
Mm-hmm.
So in order to be able to move forward, instead of searching around all Hollywood to find someone who potentially, understands my culture, I said, well, let me prove my concepts myself, right? We've seen it happen, right? We've seen the Issa Rae of the world. We've seen people. So, and let me film the stuff that I want to write at a smaller scale and be able to build an audience. And then from that, maybe get on the radar of a few other African-American owned production companies who have output deals with the majors, who would understand, our culture, but at the same time have their hands on
the other
an output deal, right? In Hollywood. So that was a lot of my initial thoughts as far as my business model. Create proof of concepts in the form of web series, that could be TV shows, a short film could be a feature film, and let people know we're here first and foremost, and then potentially get on the radar of some of these bigger companies to be able to do business, to fill that ecosystem of content aimed at the African-American market. So that was my big reasoning behind starting a production company.
Man, those are all good reasons, Brandon. You said something very important. For me, I hate gatekeepers. I don't like being told what I can and cannot do. Because in all honesty, you have no idea what I'm capable of. When you hold a child in your arms, you don't know what you hold. That could be your president. That could be a tyrant. That could be somebody that's bringing some amazing technology into this world. You have no idea. So for you to stand on my path in the way bothers me. I'm the type of, I believe in freedom on all levels. I'm free. Mentally, physically, all of it, right? I mean, I've been in some spaces where you have that one guy in the room that has the money, by the way. And he's like, you pitched your great idea. And he's like, you know what you need? I'm going to tell you. One good white man. Now, he has nothing to do with the film, nothing to do with the show at all, right? But he's going to come in and save everybody. I mean, you if you're willing to write that story, I think you got a good story. Well, sir, I'm not interested in writing stories where you're at the center, because that's not the reality of my life. You exist on the outskirts, and that's why I intend to keep you there. I write stories where we are the center of it, and we're just being human, like two people in love in a field of flowers, watching the sun, watching the clouds go by. We deserve those types of stories because that is our lives. That's reality. Everybody didn't grow up in the projects. I grew up middle-class America in Edenville, Florida. It was country and I was barefoot, but still, that's where it was. Right? But it was a beautiful existence, and those stories are worthy of telling.
Yes.
From our gaze. I'm not interested in your gaze. I'm not interested in anything that you're saying. I don't care. And that's just me being straight up honest. Like, I don't. My thing is, I don't want anyone standing in the way of me getting anything that I desire to get. Sometimes people do that. But for me, I'm a creator. There is nothing beyond me. Everything around us came from thought. Every system that we have, we as human beings created. Therefore, if I'm willing to think, I can create.
Mhm.
Nothing is stopping me from that. But that requires that people find a little piece of courage, believe in themselves, and just start walking.
Mm.
The universe always got me in the right place at the right time doing the right thing.
Mhm.
I believe that. I have faith in that.
Mhm.
Come
That's
on now.
beautiful.
Can
Listen,
somebody pass the
listen,
collection plate
listen,
around? Because I'm feeling
listen,
it right now. Man,
That's
it's
beautiful.
listen,
hitting right now.
listen. That's it. That's it. I'm here about the journey. Everybody's
Mhm.
so focused on the end destination. I don't care. What
But
I
the
care about
destination
is
is the journey.
who am I becoming in this process? What am I
Absolutely.
becoming in this process? That's the
Absolutely.
beauty of all of it. Nothing is
Yes.
beyond us. We can do anything if we really want it or desire it. So
Mm.
I create because that's all I know how to do.
I know that's
That's
right.
why I'm here.
That's why I hate waking up in the middle of the night, because I'm like, Lord, I ain't going back to sleep.
Mm.
because the thing, I really hate waking up in the middle of the night, because if I wake up, I'm like, I'm not going back to
Listen,
sleep, because the mind is worrying.
listen. Rumi has a beautiful quote about that.
Mm.
It reads, when you wake up in the middle of the night, don't go back to sleep. The breeze has things and secrets to tell you.
Oh.
I mean, I'm just saying, you waking up, there's a reason. Listen, meditate, and be willing to write down whatever comes out of that. There's something beautiful there for you.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Very much
See,
so.
everyone that's tuning in right now, I love bringing free master classes, because that's exactly what you guys are getting. You're getting a free master class, and we're discussing the state of Black cinema in
Hmm.
2022. And Kanithea, you said something which really leads into the next question that I have, which is what are some of the ways that BIPOC people can have more leverage? And I wrote at the Hollywood table,
Hmm.
but do we even want a seat at that table? Because I have two
Yeah.
people sitting here that are creating their own lanes.
Hmm.
And you're really beginning to see a movement where people of color, not just us, Latinos, Asians, we're all creating our own lanes. So what are some of the ways that we can just leverage this business even more, so that if we decide that we want to sit at that table, that when we come to that table, that we're dealing at that table from a position of power and
Mm.
strength?
Right.
Yeah. You know what? A few years ago, there was this conversation about British actors and American actors. Y'all remember that?
Yes.
And it still pops up every so often.
Hmm.
And I never really let people know my take.
Hmm.
But one of the biggest things of my take is that Black people anywhere is Black people everywhere.
Hmm.
And the
Right.
and okay, lack and scarcity are man-made phenomena.
Right.
Okay. And so we're only fighting against them because of the scraps that Hollywood throws at them. So that scarcity makes it look like a Black person in England is our enemy or our competition. That is a man-made phenomenon, because if
Hmm.
we really thought about it, we can connect with the Tyler Perrys in Africa, the Tyler Perrys and Oprahs in Europe and
Hmm.
Asia and South America, and we can create a system that rivals Hollywood. Nollywood creates independently of Hollywood.
70
Bollywood
billion,
creates
$70 billion industry.
independently of Hollywood.
Right.
Okay. So it's just because we're accustomed to scraps that we look at others as being a competition. So that is in essence my answer to your question, is that one thing that we do have is the culture, a
Hmm.
culture that everybody's interested in, everybody likes, and we have an authentic voice on that culture. And all we need to do is be able to leverage that.
Mm.
Okay. I have not been in pitching mode in several years. I haven't went around trying to pitch any ideas. I just said, you know what? I found a way to do no budget. We perfected no budget storytelling. All we need is a little funding and we can start doing longer form stuff and own our own stuff. Right.
Right.
And so since I'm very collaborative, people will bring me on to produce a project. So I have a project out now called Life After about football players. It's on Amazon Prime. It's doing really well, one of the top sports docs. And so the people who put that out, the distributor, they're like, yo, give us projects, pitch us projects. And it's funny because I get a lot of stuff now. Well, I always got a lot of stuff, but now I told somebody yesterday, I got to now thaw out, right? Thaw myself out from this non-pitching position and saying, instead of saying like, I'm going to do this myself, to be able to go to somebody and say, hey, here's an idea. What do you think? Those are two diametrically opposed positions that makes it difficult to go from one lane to the next. The better I navigate it, the better obviously I think be. But you're kind of at a position where right now, since I am small enough, I could still do small productions. But if I do want to do higher productions, it's going to take a little bit longer to do. So you're kind of in the middle of like, okay, do I go here to Hollywood and pitch this idea? You see what I'm saying? Or do I wait until my profile has risen, my whatever has risen high enough to be able to do it yourself? One of the things that has given me reprieve over this last year and a half, 2 years, the projects have been coming out, is that everybody is independent at some point. I consider myself outside of the Hollywood system. But you know what? Ava DuVernay was once. Lena Waithe, Matthew Cherry, all of them were independent storytellers just like us. Hollywood, the 6 major studios, was created by 6 independent people. So, coming from this angle, we're coming from a long line of storytellers that did it themselves. But there's a certain point where Hollywood is going to try to throw money at us. You see what I'm saying? And at that point, we say, well, do we wait? We're going to be in that situation where, do we wait? Or is this a story that I really want to tell right away? Or is this a story that I feel like it might be too financially of a risk to do myself, right? And if I make sure that I get what I want out of that deal, does it make sense? So it's a once we get to a certain level, it's going to be a quandary, right? Whether or not what we do, how we move for our people overall strategically.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So my last thing is that, since 2020, summer 2020, to me, was the equivalent of an urban R&B artist going mainstream. Black issues, Black relevance, and Black Lives Matter went mainstream. So it was okay. It was acceptable for society as a whole to acknowledge that there were discrepancies in this industry. What I am concerned about is that the response to that wasn't structurally large enough to where if we keep our foot off the gas, if we take our foot off the gas, or if we blink, we might be starting back from square one. That to me is a huge concern that, hey, if somebody just forgets about it, it gets passe, whatever, we don't have enough in place. And that's the biggest, structurally, I'm not sure if there's as big of a difference from 2020 than it is to 2022, no matter what the numbers say. Because as soon as we forget about it, as soon as America sneezes, Black America catches a cold, right? So what happens is when people are gearing up for layoffs, they're probably going for their diversity departments first. Do you see what I'm saying? So,
Right.
you know, if somebody, you know, says economically it doesn't make sense for, or what have you, whatever excuse they will come up with, you know, who's to say 15, 20, 30 years, we're still not having the same discussion?
Mm.
I think it's safe to say 20, 30 years ago, we were having this discussion.
Yes. And the funny part about it is we're still having it, you know.
I mean, some people are.
Yeah, right.
And then
Right.
some people are just moving in action or just moving in silence and creating and doing, right? I think a quote of Toni Morrison quotes, it's like, we are the mainstream.
Hey, I love
Unfortunately, for some people, they don't acknowledge or realize that. We are the beginning of everything. They breathe because we breathe. We're the ones who gave them life. And we continue to do so. Our culture, who we are, is the most fascinating, the most magical. Any group of people that desire to stomp out your existence so vehemently should let you know that you're fucking magical, that you're everything. Nobody goes after something that doesn't have any worth.
Absolutely.
So let that tell you,
right,
that you have so much worth that they're willing to stomp out your existence and place themselves in that position.
Right. Right.
We just have to know who we are. They've worked very hard to distract us, as we spoke about earlier, to pit us against each other. British people are my favorite. They can act their asses off. They've studied Black America to a T because they just speak in a different accent or talk to you like this and whatever. They're going to make it work, right? That's what they're doing. So some people call it competition. I call it range. If you want to be up in that room, learn how to speak like they speak. Beat on your talent. Give yourself the opportunity to stand in those places as well. Just like they study, you study them. You'll get there. I did commercials yesterday, British accent, all kind of crazy stuff. I'm always doing something, but that's because I have range. I study, I put myself out there. I mean, again, nothing is beyond us. Nothing is beyond us. I don't honestly know if I care about a Hollywood table. I create wherever I am. I'm the creator, whether that's Texas, Florida, DC, Alabama, wherever that is. That's where my table at. I'm creating. I'm sitting there writing my scripts. I'm sitting there putting together my plans. That's where I am. Hollywood is going to be Hollywood. They never wanted us here. I don't even care. I'm just going to do what I'm going to do. I'm a tree. I'm going to come forward, bring forth life, grow as high as I can grow, dig my roots as deep as I can dig them, produce every fruit, every leaf, every flower, every branch, every nut. I'm supposed to produce. And nothing is going to stop me from doing that, except me. And why on earth would I do that? Or desire to be somewhere else? I'm just going to do me. And if you like what I'm doing, come knock at my door. You know where I'm at.
That's right.
And then we can find some kind of way to work together. This is the most collaborative experience you're ever going to have. It has so many moving parts, and it takes so many people to bring this one little idea you have to life.
True.
So my language is, how can we work together? How can we bring this dream that we have to life, where we're both prosperous? It's pretty much it for me, man.
That's beautiful. So I had a question I was going to ask, but shit, I'm not even going to ask because it's irrelevant. But you know what? You said something very interesting regarding the British actors versus the American actor. And I put up a post the other day because you always hear so many people say, "What if I could only get in that room? If I could only get in that room?" But the thing is, what are you doing when you get there? And it's like you said, okay, if you want to move in that space,
Right.
then what are you doing to actually get in that space? Yeah, you cute, nice body. Yeah, you got some pecs on you, man. You don't know, abs is crazy. But when it comes to your talent, because you have so many talented people, so what sets you, sir, ma'am, what sets you apart? What would make someone decide to take a risk on you and cast you for their multi-million-dollar film or their multi-thousand-dollar film or their $500 film? Because guess what? Money is relative.
It is.
Because when I was doing independent films and I'm spending my $5,000, to me, that might as well have been $5 million.
Right.
So it's all relative. So what make me decide to cast you in this movie? And I would always look at that argument and just say to myself, they are so good at dividing us that they got us arguing amongst ourselves about which Black person should have that role. When you had people over the years who would play roles that were demeaning to them, putting you in the position that you are right now, where you can audition practically anywhere, where you can create content anywhere you like. And they had to do the step and fetches, and they had to have the buggy eyes and do the maid roles. Classically trained actors had to do these things. But here you are, well, man, he got the role. Well, you know why they got that role? Because they earned it. Ain't nobody give them shit. They went into the audition. They did what they had to do. The people that were casting it said, that's my person. That's the people that I want. So if you want to be in that position more, study the craft, respect it. So many people, it's amazing how so many actors that I run across come at me with this natural talent thing. Natural talent. And natural talent is beautiful, but how are you honing that?
Right.
And you know what? That's my question to the both of you, because the both of you create content. So I'm going to scratch that question. I'm going to ask this question. When you are in the auditioning process for whatever it is that you're creating, what is the process whereas you're deciding to go with one actor as opposed to another?
Great question. Great question. The biggest thing to me that I love to see in people is someone who has command of their craft. So natural talent or natural ability only gets you so far if that's close to who you are as a person. After that, it's not going to get you that far. But someone who has command of their craft is someone who can repeatedly show up and hit marks all the time. And that makes things a lot more interesting, a lot more easy, I should say, to a storyteller. When the lights go up and you hit action and you go like, bam, and they hit it, that's just like having Michael Jordan as a teammate. People don't realize how powerful it is when you can just say, hey, I shot, I think it was last year, a web series, and I worked with Tico Wells and Pashawn Wilson, and both of them have like I'm going to tell you people this. Anybody that you see on like a show or a movie that seemingly came out of nowhere, like where did this person come from? And they're amazing. They're either like theater actors, okay,
they've been putting in work,
but they've been putting in that work, like work. You know, we're like, where in the world did they come from? Those are probably New York theater actors. They probably been just putting work away for years, and you never heard about them. And all of a sudden, they got their shot, and they're on a show. But that gave them that command of that craft. If you look back 20, 30, over 30, 40 years ago, that was when Denzel and Samuel and Lawrence Fishburne, all of them guys came from that theater world, and they honed their craft over and over again. They were, they broke in, man. They were at it for some time, you know. So one of my biggest mottos today is do the work. Do the work. Do the work, man. People want to be, but they don't want to do. Not really realizing if they do, they'll automatically be. That's just half of it, right? That's it right there.
Who's that said you have to be something already before you can manifest it. You already have to be that. What I love about actors, I'm an actor. I grew up as an actor, right? Went to school on scholarship, on theater, doing all kind of stuff. First Black theater in Orlando, Florida. Me up there with my friends, performing and bringing beautiful theater to people. There's nothing better to me than being on stage under a hot blue light and your audience just outside of your reach. You can almost hear them breathing, and reacting, and you feel that flow of energy back and forth. It's a beautiful thing. What I love as a creator, I love so many things about filmmaking. There's so many different parts of it that just excite me. After I've completed a script and listened to those voices, I get to walk into a room with a group of actors and sit at a table and hear that character come to life for the first time. I have an idea as to who that character is, what they sound like, how they walk, their mannerisms, all of it. But when that actor is able to come in and add layers on top of that, oh my God, that is amazing. It's no longer a character on a piece of paper. It's now a walking, living, breathing thing, right? And that is fucking exciting. Like, that's the beauty of creation. Like, it was just a thought. Then we wrote it down. Now we're in a room. And now here that person is. I love an actor with range. I love when you know who your character is and where they come from. I love when you know as an actor what their limitations are, because that's going to spill over in all of their mannerisms, right? I love when you have taken the time to do the research and have surrendered and allowed yourself to take a back seat and that character to step forward, just to breathe life into this thing. Oh my God, I love when I meet somebody like that. That's range. I can push you. I can say something to you and you're ready, you're prepared. And it's almost like we're saying it in unison because you know this character so deeply that was just the rational thing to say and do. You're right there with me. Doing the work is so important. So many people don't want to do the work. I used to talk to this girl. She hated when I said do the work. I ask you who your character are. Your character is. You don't even know. Baby, you haven't done the work. This whole instant gratification thing has tossed people off. They think just because they double click on something, they should have it and know it and be it. That is a process. It took time for you to become you. And a lot of people don't even know who they are. They haven't even walked their process. Okay, let's be real. They expect you to know them. They don't even know themselves. That took time. People don't understand process anymore. They don't understand beating on your craft and reading and pushing your limitations anymore. They just think that, I could do this. You talk with this accent, blah, 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 blah. We're dimensional beings. So are our characters. Respect the craft. I love somebody who respects it. I can work with you. We could build something, right? Do the work. Become. And let's make this thing amazing, right?
Yeah.
That's what's up.
I remember reading, I think it was Robert Zemeckis when he was working on Flight with Denzel
Mhm.
Washington.
Mhm.
And he said during rehearsal, Denzel, all he did was take notes,
Mhm.
copious notes, just copious notes about that character, copious notes. And Denzel, when he did the very first Equalizer, I think it
Mhm.
was Linklater, said he knew his character so well to the point he would say, "Oh, my character, he doesn't need to say that." And he
Right.
said, and Linklater was as an accomplished writer, and he was like, he was right. He was
Right.
he just knew that character so
Right.
much.
Right.
I was on Strong Black Lead's page, and they did his training day monologue, basically.
Mhm.
That's legendary. And I just said, man, not only one of the most cinematic scenes in history, the fact that he ad-libbed like darn near 70-80% of that, you know, King Kong,
Denzel.
all that stuff. He just knew his character so much that he could start speaking from the character inside and out. And so that's what Kanithea is talking about. That
Mhm.
work,
Right.
that's what brings, you know, that out of a character. That's
Right.
what brings it out of a person to be able to put a performance together like that. I can only imagine what is those notes he's writing. I would love to be a fly on the wall to
Right.
find
Right.
out what is he writing down. Like, think about
Right.
that. He's literally just notes on top of notes about a character. Unbelievable.
Well,
Unbelievable.
It's so deep because really ultimately at the core of it, it's about connection.
Mhm,
yes.
It's about sitting in that audience
mhm.
and being able to connect with that character because you see yourself in them. It's a human thing. It's beautiful. I
Right.
love that. And also to speak on that, it's like we owe that to our audience.
Yeah.
They are giving us their most prized possession, their
Time.
time.
Mhm.
They don't get any of that back.
Mm,
What the hell are you going to do with it when you got their attention and their time? You
mm.
have to take care of it. You have to take
Yes.
care of it. And I love Denzel. He went, all right, okay, right. So what? Every film, he says that very thing. I love it.
And he I saw something from him the other day where he was talking about there's no such thing as film acting, there's no such thing as film acting, there's just the truth.
Mhm.
Ooh.
Right.
He said
That's
there's just the
it.
truth. He
That's
said
it.
all of this, well, I gotta find a range for the people in the back. But he said, the hell with that. He
Mhm.
said, tell the truth. He said, because guess what? He said, the camera will catch you lying.
Exactly.
Mm.
So
People
if
don't get that. It
girl,
sees
look,
everything.
Right.
now I'm going to
It
say to
sees
everybody that are
everything.
watching, because we have some phenomenal people in here, my cousin Shamira, Stacy Pippi.
Hi,
Mhm.
y'all.
So
Hey.
they know the deal. But for those who are going to be watching this, have you ever watched a film and all of a sudden something happens and you're totally out of it?
Mm.
You're
Yes.
totally out because you say, you know what, they're not being truthful.
Right.
So I'm thinking more than likely, and this is just my pondering, that Denzel was writing copious notes and having a conversation with himself. Because
Mm.
I had a
Right.
discussion about certain actors. You know, certain names keep coming up: the Denzels of the world, the De Niros of the world, the
Mhm.
Hankses of the world. If you watch any of their movies, I don't care what it is, they are the same person.
Right.
Mhm. Mm.
Because what they do, and again, this is my humble opinion,
Uh-huh.
whatever is written on that page, they internalize it and it becomes a
Mhm.
part of them.
Right.
Right.
Because that is a see, I need people to understand this. When you write something, it then takes on a life of its own.
Mm.
It
It
is
does.
alive.
It really.
Yes.
And if you don't believe me, when you're sitting when you're sitting watching a film and you have a certain reaction, that's a visceral reaction because you're feeling what they're feeling. Or if
Mhm.
you're reading a book and you're anticipating turning that next page because you want to see what's happening, it's
Right.
because those characters are alive.
Right.
And I tell writers all the time, when you're writing, listen to your characters because trust me, they
Mhm.
will start talking to you.
Right.
Mm.
They talk.
Mm.
Listen to what they're saying because you can get so much good stuff from your character. And just like when Denzel was saying, my character wouldn't say that, because you know what was going on? The dude's in his head saying, I wouldn't say that. That ain't who I am.
Right.
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 That's not me. So
Right.
and Denzel was like, you know what? That ain't us.
Right.
Right.
And I remember when I was writing,
That's true.
and this actress came to me and she says, well, how should I play this? And I said, well, why are you asking me?
Mm.
I said, I wrote it. I said, but
Mm.
it's yours now. I said,
Yeah.
because if I tell you what to do, then that's coming from me.
Right.
Right.
But you need to take that, internalize it, ingest it,
Right.
and make it yours.
Right.
I'm not playing the part.
Right.
That's you.
Mm.
And we need more actors. Again, if you are not advancing, then you really need to look at what you're not doing,
Mm.
what you're not listening to, what you're not reading, who you're not following. But that's enough. I'm gonna get off my soapbox and I'm gonna ask this next question. Because this is about y'all. I'm gonna ask this. This is
I was
beautiful.
about to pass that collection plate back around, man.
But this is the question that I wanted to ask the both of you. And we kind of touched on this, but I want to go a little more deeper. More people of color are deciding to go outside the Hollywood model and starting their own businesses. What advice would either of you give someone starting their own streaming service or production company?
Do it. Start where you are with what you have.
That's beautiful.
Ain't nothing stopping you, boo. Go on, do that. What the hell else are you doing? If you have a desire, there's a reason that it exists. That's the thing that most people don't get about dreams and ideas. It whispers to you. It comes to you when you are most open to receive it. Mine shows up as a whisper. And it was like, you know what? That's a great idea. And I'm like, you know what, bitch? You damn right about that. Let's see how we gonna make this shit happen. Right? It whispers to you. It lets you know the way to go. And if you have that desire in your heart, it's because you're supposed to do it.
Right.
It came to you. The only thing that matters is that you believe it and you take the step. The universe can't help you if you're standing still, baby. It don't cost you nothing to take one little step forward. Have that idea, write it down, figure out a little plan, put together a little piece of something, bring some people together. The universe is always willing to play with you if you are willing to take the step. So if that is your desire, start walking, boo. You figure it out.
Amen. Amen.
Brother Brandon.
Absolutely. You know, I don't think I could say anything better than that. That right there is, you know, if it's not a vision, if everybody sees it, so it's a reason why you see it, and that means that you need to bring it to fruition. Because if you see it and it's not there, that means it's just not there yet. And that means it's your responsibility to bring it out. So, as a person who wants to start a production company, think about the stories inside of them. Like, what do you want to tell? And tell those stories, because there is an audience that will find you. Like, I'm still finding my audience, right? I'm still finding it, right? I've got my family and friends, but every festival, every time someone else outside of my circle sees it, that likes it, that's a new audience. So tell your story in your voice, the way you want to tell it. And that audience, you know, can continue to do it. There's a guy who's a producer I met several years ago. And when he had just got started in the business, he had met Robert Altman, an acclaimed writer director, and he's asked him for advice. And he said there was two things that he gave him. He said, the only time you lose in this business is when you quit.
Yeah.
And he said, you got more time than you think you have.
Yeah.
And I look at that second quote in two different ways. One is that you got more time in the day. All right. But also you've got more time. If it takes you 5 years to write your script, to perfect your script, you know, then so be it. Okay. 5 years is going to pass no matter what. Right. So, and it's like, you know, you got way more time. So you don't have to rush to be in a rush with this.
Mhm.
Like Floyd, you work a full-time job and you still have time to do all of this. You have time to meet me, to meet Kanithea. You still have time to put this on, to write a book. There is a lot more time in a day.
Right.
That people think they have, right? You see what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And if you would have felt like, oh, my book should have been out last year, you see what I'm saying?
Right.
But no, you're
Mhm.
tightening it up, you're holding it
Right.
together, and it's getting there. So you have more time than you think you have, and the only time you lose in
Yeah.
this business is when you quit. And so, you know, we can make our own benchmarks and parameters for success that don't have to do anything outside of with Hollywood.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Hollywood, if you ever look at a deadline or an article, and it talks about whether a movie bombed or not, that's the way they framed it.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? They frame it in that way. Oh, well, it did this. And you see the words that they use, but it's based on the framing. Frame it in your own way. Come up with your own language for success, you know, and put value. Here's the biggest thing that I'm seeing it more, that we're putting value on our stuff more. Like outside of what, because we can't expect other people to care for our stories as much as we do. Right. So we need to put values on our stuff. We need to put values on our awards. We need to put, do you understand what I'm saying? Our award show. We need to put value on that, because we can't just say, oh, it's just this. No, they put value on theirs and we are trying to get to their table. Why can't we put value on ours and let them get to our table? So, you know, we've got to, you know, just change in the shift or the way we frame things about us and our story. I think that's very important.
You know, everything is always working out for us. Always in all ways. The 5-year trek, all of that. I mean, it's going to take the time it's going to take.
Yeah.
But
you know what?
You're going to perfect it, and it's going to be the perfect timing, because that's how the universe works. That's how it works. So step out of their timeline. Who fucking cares about what they're doing? This is your journey. It's about you, not them. So create, so write, go do. You're going to figure it out. Nobody has it all figured out. We're so anxious to get at somebody else's stuff. We're projecting the responsibility onto somebody else to tell our stories. Why? Number one, they don't care about them. Number two, they don't know them. Nor do they understand who we are, because they've never had to. They're the only group of people that don't know nothing about nobody else. Every minority group that I know of know everything about them. Why are you projecting that responsibility on somebody else? Do that yourself. Like, do that yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, if it's in you, it's in you for a reason. I remember one of my pastors back in Cincinnati. He was talking about a chair, and he said before this chair was even created, somebody thought it up.
Yep.
And he said, when was that chair real? He said, did it have to be created in order for it to be real, or was it real when it was in that person's mind? And so it is real now, right? It is real. It just ain't manifested in the physical. You see what I'm saying?
But see, that's the part of it, though. When we're talking about manifestation and creation, I'm gonna take you back to the old Pentecostal gospel. God don't give you no tree or no chair. I'm sorry, God gonna give you a chair or a table. He gives you a tree. It is a collaborative experience.
There you go.
I'm going to give you the necessary resources.
There you go.
And you're going to be required to step up and do your part and turn it into what I have given you. And most people don't get that. They're walking around looking for the end product. You got to work on that, boo. You got to work it. You got to build it. You have to build it. And most people don't understand the importance of building or what it takes to build something.
Right.
You know, some people, one guy said to me, what did he say to me? Why are you doing that? You know, Paramount, what did he say? Pluto Pluto and Tubi. They're like all these independent things. And my first question to them was, who owns Tubi? That's Fox. Who owns Pluto? Maybe that's Paramount.
Mm-hmm.
These people have been working for decades, building relationships for decades. You're an independent. They didn't start there. It took time to get there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what you don't understand. You see an end product of something and you think that, oh, well, that's what it. No, boo. You got to build. You got to build those relationships. You got to build that platform. You got to build that audience. We all started with one.
Mm-hmm.
We got to take care of them and continue to provide them with something that's beautiful and worthy of their attention and time. So the more people understand how to build things, the more people understand the process of becoming, it'll make our lives so much easier.
And you know what's so interesting, as you were talking, the thing that popped into my head was driving past a construction site when there's nothing there but the trailer.
Come on.
Some dudes walking around in a white hat with plans
Come on.
in their hands.
Right.
You go back a year later, there's an entire building taking up an entire block.
Exactly.
From that piece of paper that they were carrying around. So that entire building that you see was on that piece of paper. That's the building stage.
Yep.
And most people don't understand that. But you also said something earlier, and it's this gentleman that I follow, Tim Glover. And when you were talking about time, Brandon, he said, here's where people mess up. They focus on time as opposed to focusing on the focus. Don't focus on the time, focus on your focus. Because when you focus on the focus, then you end up having the time because you're focused on the task at hand, as opposed to saying, well, I don't have time to do this. Well, why don't you have time to do that? Because you're being distracted, thinking that you don't have time to do it. And that's something else that I tell filmmakers all the time. Don't be in such a rush to get to the red carpet. The red carpet ain't going nowhere. You can rent those anywhere.
Seriously.
Red carpet ain't going nowhere.
Come on.
And it's so frustrating when you talked about caring about what we put out. One thing that we as Black folk, BIPOC people need to really double down on is thinking of this as a business.
Right.
Ain't nothing wrong with being a creative, but this is a business. And what you're putting out is a product.
Right.
And what you need to understand is your product needs to have commercial viability and production value.
Right.
Because when you go to the store to spend your hard-earned money, would you buy something that kind of looks shoddy and not well put together? You're not buying that. So why would you then think that, and I'm going to say this, a consumer would purchase your film, which is a product, if it is of questionable value?
Or value.
So we're going to close with that. We're going to close with that. Production value. What are some of the ways that you guys, because I've seen stuff from the both of you, what are some of the ways that you make sure that your films are commercially viable and have production value?
I am a big proponent of whether I have something that's 2 minutes or 2 hours, that if somebody's sitting down watching it, I want them to be entertained. I want them to be engaged. I want them to be to feel some sort of emotional attachment to that. And so I put a lot of thought, and that's partially why it takes a little while long for my stuff to come out, because like I'm going back to the editor and I'm trying to work this out, because I'm like, how can I fix this one piece? Right. So it's very important for me for the project that you've seen of mine. It's like, I go back and like try to make sure that when people sit down, they're enjoying this or they're going to get something out of this. And so teamwork makes the dream work.
Yep.
So I have a cinematographer that can look at a white wall and say, all right, let's do this. And he don't have to look at it for more than a couple of minutes and say, okay, this is what I want to do. And he came up with the look for how we would do Black and Hollywood. I have an editor that is very strong in story, and I consider myself strong in story, that we go back and forth. And so I'll try to make room for people's brilliance. Okay. I make room for people's brilliance and understand in every situation that I come into creatively, I remove my ego from that situation. I remove my ego. So those are 3 kind of principles that I try to stand firm on.
Wow. I do a lot of research. I feel that I am a beautiful storyteller. The way I approach my stories, the way I approach my productions, it's so full of like history, research, joy, connecting with the right people that have the right experience and ability to help bring this dream that I have to life in its most wonderful way, right? So seeking that out. So before I did my last production, I wanted to run a full crew. I wanted to oversaturate some colors. I wanted to have some fight scenes and some riggers and some stunt people. I'd never done that before, but that's me. I want to blow up some stuff and flip buses, okay? That's where my heart is. You know, call me Michael Bay, Tony Scott, whatever. I'm sorry, y'all.
That's all right.
No, it's fine.
They are my favorite, right? And I mean, just the way they unfold, the movie history is everything to me. I watch so much content, you know, and that's going to tell me how and what, and, you know, how to unfold a scene. If I'm having problems with it, I go watch a movie that's somewhat similar, and it's like, that's how they did that. Got it. But researching all the cameras that these people film on, to the lenses that they use, to how they approach oversaturating color when they're telling this particular kind of story. I just do my homework. You know, and familiarize myself with it so that when that opportunity comes to me, I'm prepared, I'm ready. And I could already have my little complete story, but couple that with the right people, the right crew, with the right attitude. Attitude is everything, you know, that opens up the earth for creation to come out of it, right? For beauty to come out of, for us to give birth to something amazing. My mom always told me, take pride in what you do. Your name on it. Your name is on it. And when I look at things that I love, that I like, I want my thing to be on that level. So when you look at my platform, it's familiar to you because it looks the same quality as Netflix, as Amazon, as all of those other places that you're so used to spending your dollars, that you won't have a problem coming here and spending your dollars as well, because you see the value of it. It's familiar to you. We've taken the time to consider your experience. It's all about that for me, man. Creating something that I want to be a part of, that I want to put my name on, that I want to give my dollars to. And if I'm always thinking about that, and I'm bougie as hell, okay? I'm bougie.
I see what you're driving, girl.
I'm not even I'm not even gonna lie to you.
I was in it.
Listen, I'm bougie as hell.
It was nice.
Right? Every part of me is that. I'm worthy of that.
Absolutely.
And I believe that my audience is also worthy of those experiences that I create for myself as well. So I keep that in mind. Yeah.
I love it.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for hanging out with us for this past hour and 5 minutes or so.
Right.
This has been an absolutely amazing discussion with 2 absolutely amazing people. But before we head out, where can people find you guys?
I just want to give a shout out to Marshall Favors, Mrs. Marshall Favors of the Detroit Black Film Festival.
Yes, hey girl.
Here, I just got to give that shout out to her and them. They welcomed us with open arms. You can catch me, Black, the letter N, Hollywood, on IG, Brick 2500 without the C on IG as well. Yeah, so that's where you can catch me, and looking forward to connecting with some other storytellers.
Sweet. I mean, you can connect with me on Instagram at QWESTFILMS, Qwest Films. Follow the platform, QFNTV. We'd love to have you as a follower. Also, check out the platform, download it on your phone, Android, iOS, whatever you got, baby, we own it, okay? So
I know that's right. You better
we in
promote that thing.
We in your Roku, we in your Amazon. You can even find us on the World Wide Web at qfntv.lightcast.com. Thank you so much. It's such a pleasure. Always a pleasure hanging out with you.
It's always good seeing you guys. And if you want to follow me, just Google me, Floyd Marshall Jr. But I have a favor to ask. If you have not yet subscribed to the YouTube channel, please go and hit that subscription button on YouTube. Y'all know about them algorithms. I would truly appreciate the follow, because we want to continue to bring you phenomenal interviews. Well, you know what? Not even interviews. I don't interview. We talk. We have a conversation. Yeah. I want to continue to bring everyone phenomenal conversations such as this. This was absolutely amazing. And if you didn't hear it live, you can see it on the replays again. It's on YouTube. You can see it on Facebook, and you can also see it on LinkedIn. I'm hitting all the platforms because that's what I do. And we are also on Apple and all other streaming platforms. So go over there and give me a follow as well. But again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. I truly hope that some of the things that you have heard here tonight, you can incorporate. And we had some heavy hitters in the room tonight. We had Chris Mann was here, Marshall. Oh my gosh. We had some really great people here tonight. My cousin Shamira,
Stacy, Marshall, Stacy Pippi. I'm seeing them. Yeah, I've clicked over into the comments. I was like, oh, let me see. We
had some really nice people here. So I'm truly appreciative of you guys hanging out with us for this past hour. And I'm just going to end it with this. Ladies and gentlemen, but I don't have to tell this audience because this audience already knows this. Filmmaking, love it like a hobby, but treat it like a business.
Amen.
To your success, as my former mentor, who I love dearly and miss so much, Tanya Kersey would say, to your success. Everyone have an absolutely amazing and phenomenal night, and have an awesome, awesome, awesome New Year's. And don't wait until the New Year's to get that shit started. Go into the New Year's like a bull. Have a great night, everyone. Peace.
All right.
Peace.
Bye-bye.